Alex, and this is Travel TitBits 24. Back indoors. The rain and the wind are here with a vengeance. So let's talk about autonomous cars. Does it fill you with dread or excitement about the future? Not only will it be electric, but no one will be in charge of the vehicles on the road. Yes. What decisions will these vehicles be making on our behalf? So perhaps we should start by saying, well, apparently there are 6 kinds of automation in existence already, 3 of which are driver influenced and 3 are computer influenced. But fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on your point of view, the driver has a big part to play in 5 out of 6 of those. So firstly, you have zero automation. Well, it's just driving like normal, isn't it? And then there's assistance. Now, I've driven a car that does assistance. Some modern cars offer you lane assistance. The first time I saw lane assistance, it was a little bit unnerving. I thought I'd pressed something wrong because it started making funny noises on the dashboard, and even my wing mirror was flashing red at me. There was me just wondering what was going on and changing lanes and thinking it was okay, and the car was monitoring my behaviour on a dual carriageway. Fancy that. The third kind is what they call partial assistance. Probably the best example of that is having a reversing camera. Very useful, I find. Yeah, I absolutely love rear cameras, but not to be tried when reversing in normal traffic. But car spaces, yeah, absolutely fine. Now it gets more interesting when we get into what is described as automation, the automation ones. So conditional ones, I've not seen an example of this, but I think the nearest example of that would be bus lanes, special bus lanes that have been converted especially for a single purpose. You get in that mode, and yeah, there is a degree of control which is partially, I know with buses they sometimes have high-sided walls which allow the driver to sort of let go of the steering wheel, so they're guides. So it's semi automation, but they still have to put the speed on or put the brakes on. For cars, I've not seen an example. Elon Musk has a special tunnel he's testing in California, which might have a similar effect. So driving in a tube, not California, Las Vegas. So yeah, so that's conditional automation. High automation is practically full automation, and I think the only difference will be that you basically can take over if you see a situation it can't cope with. And of course the last one is, yeah, you can read a book, watch TV, plan your next holiday, and whilst your car takes you to the airport. Now, why isn't it in operation now? Well, basically, there's a lot of testing involved. And there may be considerably more testing involved. So before we talk about the likelihood of when it might happen, we can't have a conversation like this without talking about Tesla, because even though they're not the only electric car manufacturer Elon Musk has been very keen on allowing other people to see his patents and design other electric vehicles, and there are now quite a lot of choices on the road. I've only sat in a Tesla once or twice, and the thing that you notice straight away is how empty the car feels inside, because it just has a single screen in front of you, and depending on the model it's either rectangular or landscape, and it's completely a software driven vehicle, made of light material. And yeah, so instead of going to your garage to get an upgrade, you get a software upgrade instead. And the autonomous software, it's there whether you purchase it or not. And I think in the UK it's like 5 or 6k if you want it to be ready for activation, and then it simply happens when the day comes. So what does Elon Musk say about this whole autonomous thing? Well, according to him, it's a question of confidence rather than safety, which might surprise you. Humans are naturally risk averse, and whilst safety is important, he estimates it's somewhere between 10,000, or it might even be 10 million to 1, in terms of it would have to be that safe before a human will feel confident sitting in an automated vehicle. I suppose it makes sense. One of the interesting documentaries I watched on this subject is it was about the number of cameras that are on the front of their cars. I think it was a minimum of 8 cameras, and they're monitoring all kinds of situations. So it's not just the road. It can detect other vehicles. It's looking for pedestrians, unexpected events. So it's a highly complex, and the more vehicles that are going out there, the more data is being collected on this all the time. So he is basically saying a point will be reached where it knows so much about driving conditions, and I suppose the graph will go down in terms of new situations, because that's what it's all about in the end of the day. It's learning about maps, learning about vehicles, learning about situations, and eventually it will run out of things to learn. And that may be the day we get to see them on the roads. So where are we most likely to see it happening first? Well, I would have thought it's going to be either in busy towns or cities, or on motorways, because that's where the biggest that's where you're going to see the biggest benefits, because it's all about spacing vehicles out, and it's not really talked about that much, but a lot of people still unfortunately lose their lives on the roads. In the UK it's about 5,000 or 6,000 deaths per annum, and again Musk reckoned that a fully autonomous world would save 1 million lives per year, which, 1 million people is a lot of people. So it's definitely worth doing. The only challenge standing between us and that world happening is essentially the number of autonomous capable vehicles. At the moment, the ratio of electric to other cars is approximately 1 for every 250 vehicles, which is roughly 2% of the world vehicle population. So there's still a ways to go. But one thing we know is changing is that some of these Tesla mega factories are meant to be going from tens of thousands of cars produced a year to 1 or 2 million cars per year. So that's going to start to have a much larger impact on the number of vehicles. And of course, the more you produce, the cheaper they should become to purchase, because that is another area which could obviously improve. I think the objective is to get sub £20,000 or $20,000 vehicles on the road, and so safety and numbers, you know, it's yeah, I think it'll be a good idea in the end. It's what we've been saying all along. It's a combination of safety, confidence, and the number of vehicles, the number of recharging points. So yeah, it could happen sooner than we think. Watch this space. Let me know what you think in the comments below. All right, see you later.